Hi and welcome back to FreeEduHub. Today we'll try to understand the basic database concepts and terms. This is Microsoft Access 2019 and you can see the basic interface of Microsoft Access. Now once you'll open Microsoft Access, you'll have to save the database, and once you'll save the database, you can see the location of the database where you have saved it on the top of the page. So that's the location where we are saving our database. Then we have these basic menu items which appears on the top of the page. Starting from the left hand side, this area is called Quick Access Toolbar. Then we have a shutter bar over here, and as you can see, if I'm clicking on it, it is collapsing and opening up again. So that's where we can see lots of different options of selecting the tables, created date, queries, forms and reports, etc. Now this area is also called navigation pane. It lists all the objects, tables, reports and so on the database, and it is in the main control center for opening and working with the database objects. Now if you'll see on the top of the page, these menu items, if you want to create a table, you'll click on this one and you'll be able to add the fields by clicking on these items. If you want to have a short text, number, large number or anything, and it would open the field. If you want to name it something, you'll simply call it as students, and then for the other field, if you want to have a rich text format over here, you can call it anything like blood type, etc. And we'll keep on adding the fields. So that's the way we add the fields on a table. If you want to save the table, you can save it, and if you want to close it, you can right click on this tab over here. It would give you an option to save, or it would give you an option to close. If it's not saved and if you'll try to close it, it would ask you that would you like to save the table. You can save it at this time, or you name it when you are saving it itself. Now if you look at the design view, here we'll be able to create the same table again. For example, if we are starting with ID, and then if we are going to student name, and we can select here as the number, and we can select here as short text, and on the bottom of the page you can check the field size and other properties of these specific fields. Same way, if we'll right click on it, it would give us an option. You can save the table and name it as test. It's asking that it must have a primary key, since for every table there should be a primary key. So in order to define a primary key, we'll select ID as the primary key. Something which is unique in a table is called a primary key. So we'll right click on it and we'll say primary key, and then if we'll try to close it, it would save it and it would close the table. Now if you'll try to open the table, you'll have to double click on it again, and you can see that the table opened, and since we didn't enter any of the details, it's appearing as empty. Further, if we'll go to the table in the query wizard, if we want to write a query, we'll use this one. If we want to design a query, we'll click on this thing and it would ask us to select the tables that we would like to add, and we'll double click on the tables so they'll be added. And if you want to create a relationship between the tables, you'll simply drag the primary key from this table to this one, so it would be used as the foreign key in this table. As you can see, if we can expand it like this, you'll be able to see rest of the items in this one, and there is a relationship between the two tables. If you'll double click on it, you'll be able to see the kind of relationship between the tables, but we'll be covering it later. If you want to save the query, you can save it, or you can simply close it by clicking no. Again, in the design view, you can create the form, you can have blank forms, and you can even generate the reports from here. In external data, if you want to import the data from Excel or from other databases, etc., we'll be able to do it from here. And in the database tools, we can create the relationships and we can write the macros, etc. And if you have a huge database and you want to compress it and compact it or repair the database, you'll see this option over here. Now let's try to open one of the tables and try to understand what is inside, since we have created a table here and you can see the table with the details. Now in this table, these fields on the top are called fields, whereas this data which is in the middle of the table is called records. So a table would have field and records, where we'll be defining the fields as company, category, address, city, etc. So these are the fields on which we'll be entering the data, and you can see that there is a supplier ID, its company name, category, and rest of the details over here. Further, if you'll click on any of the items over here, you'll be able to see that we have a new tab over here which is called fields. So if we want to add any field, we can manipulate it from here, and you can even change the data type of it by just clicking on it and selecting what kind of data you would like to have. Further, we have required, unique, and index fields. If it's required, you'll select it as required. As you can see over here, that every person or every supplier should have a supplier ID. That's why it's required, and it should be unique over here. Now same goes that if you want to delete a specific record from here, you can simply click on it and click on delete, so it would delete the data from this one. Further, if you'll see at the bottom of the page, here we have the records. So if you want to move between the records, you can click on this one and it is shifting or going to the next record. If you want to search any record, for example, if we'll search 403, so it would take you to the field where, or it would take you to the record where you have that specific data. It's not searching only in the supplier ID, but if you'll type William over here as well, as you can see, it is highlighting the text, so this one is used for the searching as well. If we want to modify any of these fields in a data design view, we can right click on the table over here and we'll select the design view, and you can make the necessary changes over here which would be reflected in the table. Just like as we saw in Microsoft Excel, you can see the totals and spelling check and rest of the things over here as well. Further, we can change the font type and rest of the things related to the font over here. So let's start from file. If you want to create a new database, you'll click on new, and then you can select a blank database over here and you can name it wherever you would like to save this new database. You can see there are lots of other options over here as well. For example, if we want to have a students database, which is a template provided by Microsoft itself, you can simply create it and it would populate all the basic fields which are required in a students table. And as you can see, it has created a table. You can get started with the tutorial of it, and this is done by using the forms through which we can enter the details. And as you can see, if I'll click new student, it would open a form through which we'll be able to enter the details of the student data. So everything is already defined as per the template which is provided by Microsoft. Here you can see the tables, different queries that they have written, the forms which are being used for different purposes, for example updating the fields, student records, and rest of the details. These are the reports. And then we have some macros which are predefined. So that's a default template which is provided by Microsoft. Now if we would like to copy a table, we can right click on the table and select copy from here, and then you'll right click on it again, and if you'll paste it, it would give you an option that it's a copy of the same database. So you can select different options in this one, that you can copy the structure only, or you want to copy the structure and data, or you want to append the data of the existing table. So let's try it with the structure only and see what happens. If we have copied it, and if I'll open it now, we can see that it's a table with empty data, since it has copied the structure of it without copying the data. Whereas if we'll open the other table, which is the original business table, we have the data inside. And you can click on these buttons on the top, rather these tabs on the top, in order to toggle between the tables which are open. Now you can see that both tables have the similar fields on top, but the data is not there since we selected the option of copying the structure only. Now if I'll right click on it again, I'll copy it and I'll try to paste the same table and select the structure and data, and let's name it copy of business 2 and press OK. Now if I'll open it, you can see it has copied it with the data. It's just like the initial table, which is business, and there is another copy of it, business and business 2. Now if we want to close both of these different tables, we'll right click on it and we'll select close all, so it would close all the tables which are open. Now if we would like to copy the data of this business table to copy of business which is empty at the moment, so we'll close all tables, then we'll copy this one and then we'll paste it over here, and this time we'll select the option as append data to existing table, which is copy of business. So once we'll press OK and open copy of business, now you can see that the data has been copied only from the business table to copy of business, which was empty earlier. Now let's try to close all open tables that we have, and let's try to delete the tables that we copied. So in order to delete it, you can right click on it and you can select the option called delete. It would say that all data would be removed. Press OK, and then on this one also we'll delete this one. Now we'll create a copy of this one over here, and then we'll try to paste the data inside from one table to another. So we'll create a table over here and we'll name it business 2. Press OK. Now we have business 1 and business 2 with exactly the same data that is there in the business table. So let's do one thing. On business table, let's try to delete these records in the table. So we'll select the data that we want to delete, and then we'll right click on it and we'll say delete the records. It's saying that you are about to delete 6 records. Press OK. Yes, so now it has deleted the data from here. As you can see, we have deleted the data from the other table. In this table we have from row number 7 it's empty, and here on row number 7 we have some data. You can check it over here. So if we would like to copy the deleted data from the first table, select the records that you would like to copy, select them all and say copy. Now on the other table, go where you have deleted the data, select the records where you would like to paste it, and then right click on it and paste. As you can see, the data has been copied from that table to this table, and now you can see the data is exactly the same on 2 different tables. Now let's try to copy the data from one table to another, or one database to another. As you can see on the top, we have a company 2 database, and if I'll change to other database, it's company. So there are 2 databases that I have. One is company and then the other one is company 2. It's just a copy of the same database, so you don't see a difference over here. So let's go to the database called company.accdb and open it, and let's delete the records from row number 7 all the way to the end, and let's delete it over here. So now we have deleted the records which were there before, and let's open the other table, which is company number 2, and open the table and delete all the records in the top, since we deleted the records from 7 onwards on the company database. So in this one we'll delete the top 6 records. We'll select them and then we'll delete. Now if you'll see, both databases have different data in it, so both of them are different. Now I'll try to import the data from company 2 in company 1. So in that case, I'll have to close this database, which is company number 2, and I would like to import the data. So let's close the table. Now in order to import the data from company 2 database, I'll right click on it and I'll select the option import and access database. If you are importing it from Excel sheet, you can do it from here, but since we are importing it from Microsoft Access database, we'll select this option. After that, it's asking you for the location of the database, so we'll provide the location of the database in here. And as you can see, I have provided the location of the database and select the option as import tables, queries, and form records, etc. into the current database, and then press OK. Now it's saying that on which table you would like to import the data in. Select the table that you want to select since it's the business, and press OK. Now all objects are successfully imported. So if I'll open it in this table, you can see that these are the fields which are copied from the other database, which was company 2, and the data is different in both of these tables. Now same thing, if we would like to copy the data, which is this one, from business 1, select the data that you would like to copy. Right click, copy, and then go to the table which is business 1. Click on this empty field or select on this area and right click in the middle somewhere and paste. So you'll be able to paste the data. So that's how we import the data from the other databases into the main database. Now let's try to learn how can we create a form over here. So in order to create a form, we'll go to the form wizard. Click on this one, and then you'll select the table that you have and the fields that you would like to add to the table, to the form. So we'll select all the fields over here, then press next. It would ask you that what should be the view of the form. We'll keep it as normal, as column. We can name it something else. We'll keep it as it is and press finish. So now you can see that that's the data which was there in the table. Now we can see it over here. And if you look at the records fields, if you'll press on this button, you'll be able to navigate in the table all the records, etc. If you want to create a new record in the same form, you can click on this new, and now you can enter the new data in the database using the form which is provided over here. Now let's start the review assignment, which is assignment number 1. So in that one, it's saying create a blank database. So in order to create a blank database, click file and then new, and then we'll create a blank database and we'll name it as vendor. Now once that's done, we'll have to select the path where we would like to store it. And in order to do that, we'll click on this folder icon to select a destination. So now we have selected the destination. We'll select create, and it would create the database over there. Now it's saying that rename the table. We'll do it later, or if you want, you can save the table over here. Save the table and name the table as suppliers. Press OK. So now you can see we have a table over here called suppliers. Now what we can do is that we can click on this one, and as mentioned on your book, select short text as the field type, and we'll name it the first one over here by clicking on this one or right clicking on this one and going to rename field. Or the other way to do that is simply double click on it and you'll be able to name it. So we'll provide the name of the category over here, which is company, and the field, which is first one, we'll name it as supplier ID, and of course this field would be the primary key, so we'll select it as the primary key. Now it's saying that change the field type for this one, for supplier ID, from auto number to the short text. So we'll do that, and then in order to make it a primary key, we'll select as required. So now this is considered as the primary key. Now we'll keep on adding different categories over here with the short text. So for the other category, we'll again select a short text and we'll name it as category. And then next one, again it would be a short text and it would be address, and so on. We'll fill all of the other fields. As you can see, we have created different fields over here, and you can adjust the size of the column so that the text can be adjusted inside easily. So once that's done, we'll save the table, and in order to save the table, as I told you earlier, you can either click on this one or you can right click on this one and save the table and name it as suppliers. Now we can close the table, and if you want to open the table, you can open it. If you want to open the table in the design view, you can click on it, and here, as you can see, this key is indicating that it's a primary key and rest of the records are short text. Now if you'd like to enter the data on this one, simply open the table and keep on editing or filling in the information as shown in the table in figure 1-31. Now as you can see that we have entered the details. Here in the first name and the last name, enter your first name and your last name. And we have the other database opened, which is business, and it has the same fields as the vendor database that we have just created. Now in order to copy this data from the supplier table to our company database, which was a business table, we'll select the data, we'll right click on it, copy it. Then we'll go to the company database, we'll select this one so that the entire row is selected, and then we'll right click on it and paste. So now it's saying that you are about to paste 5 records, press OK. So now you have successfully copied the data from the supplier table to this one. In next question, it's asking you to create a query, and in order to create a query, we'll click on create, and then we'll go to query wizard. And then we'll select simple query wizard, press OK, and now they are saying to select the following fields in order to create a query. That should include a company name. We'll add it by clicking on this, and then category, so we'll add this one also. Contact, first and last name, so this is first and last name, and then the phone field, so we'll click on this one, and then we'll press next, and then open it in a new way. You can rename it something, or you can press finish. So now you can see that it has created a records of only those fields which we have designed in the design query. So that shows us a selected data that we would like to see. If you'll open the business table, here you have lots of records, whereas in the query we have selected few records which are displayed over here. Now it's asking you to create a report, and in order to create a report, we'll click on report wizard, and then we'll select the fields that we would like to include to the report. So I'll select all of them, then press next. Now it's saying that we want to add in the grouping or anything. We'll keep it as it is, then press next. If you want to have it in ascending or descending order, you can select it from here. I'll keep it as default. Press next, and there you can select the layout type. I'll keep it as the default one. Press next and press finish. So now you can see it has generated the report, and if it's not clear on the screen, you can use the slider on the right hand side. Just like how we did it in Microsoft Excel, you can zoom it out or zoom it in, and as you can see, the full page is appearing here. Then on the navigation bar, you can go through the pages from page 1 to page number 4. So that's how we generate the reports. That's it for today. Thank you very much.